Hello, mate.
Hello.
Welcome to the José show.
Oh.
Welcome to the UHP podcast. And this time, I'm the one hosting it.
Ooh.
Turn half tables.
Turn half tables.
Okay. So Daniel Felstein, welcome to the podcast as a
Thank
guest.
you.
So, for the past
Scary.
2 years, I've seen you been the one picking the brains of clients, any other special guests such as the trainers.
Thanks.
Everybody else. But
Ooh.
you know what? It's
Too
time.
cold.
It's too cold.
Warm, please.
Jasmine said no.
Huh.
So, but now it's time to pick your brain. So, I'm not doing it for myself. I feel like it's exactly for everybody else. They want to know what's going on in here of Daniel Felstein. Now, you're a competitive powerlifter. You're a business owner of multiple businesses. Recently engaged. You're a dog owner. Ooh, that's a good one.
Ooh.
And you're a child at heart. In a good way. Now,
Yeah.
a couple of things I want to go through. Just see, I'm going to assume a lot of people want to know the answers to these questions. Is your training first? Alright, everyone knows you as a strong guy. This guy loads up a lot of weight on the bar. Like ever since I met you, when I saw you deadlift 180 for 5, I was like, holy, I've never seen that before. And that's me. That was like 5-6 years ago.
Yeah.
But I want to ask, what age were you the first time you actually touched a barbell?
Well, it would have been with Maruna.
Shout out Maruna.
Oh, hey Maruna. And at High Caliber Fitness over on Anna Grove Road. Not there anymore. It's another gym there now. But I think I was in like year 8. I'm pretty sure. Year 8 when I signed up to that gym, and I don't think you can, for like any time in commercial gyms, I don't think you're allowed when you're that young.
Nah. I think at that point, it was like only 18 plus, but
Yeah.
in those days.
Yeah, so I think they have 16-year-olds now, but I'm not even sure how old you are when you're in year 8. Are you 16?
14.
Oh, 14.
15.
So maybe I was around about 15 when I started doing weight training, and luckily I got into the compounds, and I think that was mostly due to my dad. Actually, I think it was in year 7. First time I went to a gym was in year 8, but in year 7 I was training out of the home gym, just some really old weights.
Your dad's gym?
Yeah, like old, maybe 20-year-old weights in the garage, and yeah, started doing squats, bit of bench. I still remember how wobbly it was when you first start, like it's all over the place, you can't really control it, stabilizers aren't there. And yeah, I wasn't really that strong as a kid. Like I didn't start strong, that's for sure.
Was it always, so it was compounds, or the 3 compounds from day one already? You knew, like, you need to
I didn't know how to do it, but I thought that's how you do it, like chin-ups. I think I started with chin-ups. There was a chin-up bar in my house, and chin-ups I knew about. Bench press as well, squats, that was still quite hard. I don't think I deadlifted actually. Yeah, I think I just did squat, barbell row, dumbbell row, and chin-ups, that's it.
Did you follow like a program or anything?
No, I think I was just doing like sets of like 6 or 8 reps, and I was just loading up 10 pounds because the weights are in pounds, so I guess it's similar to here. It's all in pounds, You know how it is. But like I didn't really know what I was doing. I just thought like, oh, okay, so you gotta do bench press.
So was this when in your garage still?
Still in the garage, yeah.
And like this was no help from your dad, just on your own?
No, he helped me a bit at the start, but it got to a point where I was sort of like, well, he's at work, so I got to start doing it by myself. And yeah, it was just somewhat consistent.
How did you like get more knowledge on, like, say, the compounds? Because obviously you didn't start from all the three main ones.
Yeah.
Like, how did you further develop your knowledge?
Well, I still remember running the program of Strongness 5x5.
Oh yes, classic.
The classic at the start. Like, it was 3-day split, not too much volume, but you're still able to get really strong on that. Like, the old one, like a lot of people change it now and they do the same program, but they actually run 5x5. But Strongness 5x5, the first one, I think it was Stronglifts, yeah, wasn't actually 5x5 every day. I think it was like you do your squat set of 5x5 on the Monday. Then on the Friday, you do a little bit heavier than that for 3 reps. And then what you did for 3 reps on the Friday, you end up doing on the Monday for 5 reps again. And it was either that or Mad Cow. That's a next variation of strong lifts. But to answer your question, I was like everyone else at the time, bodybuilding.com. I don't know if that's still a famous thing. Bodybuilding.com, I still remember going on that a little bit. T-Nation, I remember that being really good. And like Omar iSurf, like I still got his singlet or a stringer in there. It was just like everyone else, but yeah, it's quite timely. And everyone's sort of got different opinions on everything. So it was mostly just experiencing it in the gym, taking away things that worked for me, and mostly just really just going through the injuries that came with like lifting and knowing, okay, that's not how I'm supposed to do it.
So you got hurt, like I wouldn't say hurt, but you experienced a bit of pain sometimes when you were training on your own?
Oh yeah, all the time.
All the time.
I was pushing heavy, probably heavier than I should, like half squatting. I still remember my first deadlift at 60 kilos. It was heavy. I think I actually started at 40. It was so heavy and I hurt my back doing 40.
Wow.
And I'm thinking, how do you do that? I think I was squatting into it and just really trying to just tug the weight up. And
so how long were you doing that for until you got into high caliber?
oh, sorry. I didn't get too injured when I was at the home gym because I wasn't going too heavy. But as soon as I got into the gym, there was this PT there actually who sort of wrote up a handwritten program called Mark. I still remember him. You do a run and then you'd go to leg press, do dumbbell rows, then do bench press, do some barbell squats, lunges. I remember they were pretty good exercises actually, but just the rep ranges were sort of just like fill it out as you go, progress, which was alright at the time. Nothing sort of like what the PTs prescribe beginners here, but yeah, I reckon progression methods would have helped a lot. But yeah, I got off 5x5 when I first went there actually because I thought, oh, I'll just follow this program. And I think I ended up following it for like ages, like maybe like 1.5 years.
Oh wow.
Yeah, just that PT program.
And you got progression? Yeah, I guess.
Initial, but then I know it was in HSC as well, so I started like doing all these supersets that made me burn out. I wasn't really able to pull with this good form. I remember a time I did German volume training 10x10.
Ooh, yeah.
I couldn't do that now because you'd finish the sessions like just wobbly legs. I still remember working at Grilled. Couldn't function really. Like lucky I was working at Grilled because I couldn't have done anything where you're actually focusing on tasks on the computer or thoughtful tasks. But still, I remember getting quite a bit of progress through the legs doing that. Like people at school like, oh, your legs are getting bigger. But it was just dreadful. Like I think the first 3 sessions I vomited every time. And I was like white-faced. Took half hour to recover. But it's not good.
Was getting strong always the goal, or were you just why did you actually start like training?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure getting strong was the goal. I think, remember the movie Never Back Down? That one inspired me a bit, like when he's walking in and Strongest playing and he's with his coach.
Yeah.
That was a while ago, but yeah, it was always to get strong. Like I remember I always wanted to get stronger than my dad because he was pretty strong, and yeah, like that was my number one goal. But I achieved that. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, no, yeah. Your dad's like, what was he? What did he squat when he competed? Like what, last year or the year before?
Yeah, he competed. I think not last year, the year before that at Liftmas.
Yeah. What was his numbers? Do you remember? I know they were pretty impressive for.
Not sure.
But I know he's just strong, and just looking at him, he's got a just good build.
Yeah, good build.
But yeah, so what point did you start to see like, oh, I'm pretty strong? Like, did you recognize at one point, I was like, you know what? Like, I'm stronger than the average bloke that my age.
Yeah.
Did you feel like that?
I'd say when first time that I would say that happened was, I still remember like this sort of balding guy. He was like 28 or whatever it was. He was following quite structured program as well, and he was always chasing me when I was like 16 or 17 at the time to get a bigger deadlift than me, and he's pulling like, I think that's the time I was pulling maybe 180 or 190 for a set of 4 or 5, and like really bad form, just reefing it up. But I still remember him going in and always like asking, what are you doing? Like, what was your numbers today? What was your numbers? Like, yeah, I'm wanting to get better than that, or far out. Like, and then the comments started coming, and then I remember at school just thinking, like, and I still don't know why now. I think it was just because I didn't change program. I just stayed consistent as possible and followed progression methods, whereas everyone else was sort of doing new programs every 4 weeks.
Yeah.
Like they're doing, what's that Kaizen one? That was later on.
Yeah, it was later on.
Strong lifts, and then this Arnold program, bodybuilding program, one they found on bodybuilding.com, upper lower, abs, like, then they start doing running, and I think it just ends up being, like, the one you can stay most consistent to, just like dieting, I think is the one that's good for you. And I think I could stay consistent to any program, as long as I saw that the results were coming. Like, I would definitely pick up if something was wrong. So if I wasn't progressing or something, oh, actually, speaking of that, like, I sometimes stalled for 4 weeks straight, not being able to pull a certain weight. And then, like, I wouldn't be able to lift a weight. I remember the first time I did 180. I think I still got a video. Couldn't pull it 1 week, couldn't pull it the next week. But now thinking about it, my volume was obviously reducing because I did 2 weeks of like no pull in the deadlift. I just backed it off then. I just did the warm-ups. If I couldn't get it, I didn't do it. Then 1 week I got 1 rep, and then I sort of dropped it because it was heavy. But then the next week I got 5, so it was sort of like a 4-week deload almost before I was able to hit the 180 for the first time. But that was when I was a lot younger, I think. 17. Yeah, probably 17.
And then, alright, so you start to see like 180. How old were you? You got 180?
17.
17 years old, 180. Wow. And at what point did you start to think like, powerlifting? Like as a sport?
I didn't really know what it was. I started typing in like weightlifting gyms, and they were throwing the bar around. I was like, I swear there's something else. And I typed in like gyms with weightlifting, and then there was like one weightlifting gym in Castle Hill, and I was thinking, oh no, that's not what I wanted to do. But I think the point was when I got to a certain point where I was basically strongest around about in the school. There were some people who came in who sort of were a lot stronger, but they didn't really do squat, bench, deadlift or anything like that. They were sort of just doing dumbbell work. But probably past that point, because I think I was either just out of high school or in year 12 when I did my first powerlifting comp. It was either the first year out.
Which one was that one? Was it novice or was it straight into sanctioned?
No, that was straight into sanctioned. I didn't know. I don't think there was much novice comps at the time. It was mostly sanctioned. Like, this is old, like PA. Powerlifting Australia, that was the one that was before APU. But I remember the first one being at Wollongong. I think it was when I was just out of high school.
It's like 18, 20, 18, 19 years
yeah.
old.
I think I would have
junior.
been... Yeah, 18.
Yep.
Yeah. Maybe sub-junior, maybe not. I think sub-junior, yeah.
Was it like a qualifying comp or something like that?
Yeah, just one in Wollongong. And I still remember to this day, it was like, other than the 10x ones that we used to do, still the best comp that I've done entertainment-wise, even better than Limitless. Like, the first one I ever did was that, because they had a DJ and everything like that. Giving PB attempts, someone gave me their soft suit because I didn't know that you needed one. Yeah, that was still my favourite comp.
On the day of comp?
Yeah, they just gave me a soft suit.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Did you have sleeves? Like, did you have a belt?
I had a belt. I had
sleeves. What was your first belt?
The Red Inza one.
Oh, the Red Inza one?
Yeah.
At what point did you start to feel like that's a good belt? Because not everybody knows, like, because unless you know powerlifting and like the sport, like if you're a fan of the sport, Inza, that's a good belt. But like, how did you know Inza was a good belt?
I think it was just from Omar as well.
Omar likes Inza.
Because he used to get the prong belt, and I was like, oh, I like the lever, and I just got it, the red one.
And now you're a prong guy.
Yeah, now I'm a prong guy.
So that's cool. And like, how was it? How'd you go in your first comp?
I remember there was 3 guys. I think I came second because one guy bombed out. But it was overall lifter. It wasn't like they categorized it into juniors and whatnot.
Oh, okay.
But I still remember, like, I think I came second. And then the first guy who beat me, I remember 1 year later beating him. So that was always a good feeling.
No, it's same age or like junior?
I think he was like maybe like 29 or something.
So you were like 10 years basically 10 years younger, and you beat him the next year.
The next year, but he was sort of not really following any structured program or anything either.
Did you have a coach, or was you solo at the time?
I was still solo at the time, yeah.
Who came with you to the comp?
Who came with me? My parents, and that's about it.
Oh, your parents came?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. That's
Just
cool.
my parents.
And then, like, a couple of years later, down the track, you stepped onto the world stage for the first time.
Yes.
What was the processes from, like, all right, you reached a point, you were 18, 19 years old. What age were you went to Worlds?
No, I wasn't 18, 19. I was a junior. It was that was like 2 years later.
Yeah, so from 18
So 1 year I did 2 years worth of PA nationals, then 1 year worth of APU nationals, so I would have been 19, so 20, 21, 22. So I would have been 22 turning 23. So it was my second last year, but because of how Worlds works, it's at the start of the year, so I wouldn't have actually been able to do Worlds again. It was my last year I could do Worlds as a junior, but it wasn't my last year of doing junior comps.
Right, yep.
Yeah.
So, but like, what were the processes do you think you had to do from when you were just 19, first comp, to that point where you step on stage? Like, what changed?
I did get a coach. I remember getting a coach when I went to Japan. And what changed is one, getting a coach, for sure. There's just something about being accountable to someone that makes everyone improve. Like, everyone's like, oh, I could do it if I wanted to. But it's just human nature to not want to let people down. And it's easy to let yourself down sometimes and justify that you can make it up in some way. But I think as soon as there's a coach there, you definitely don't want to let them down, because even though you're paying them, it's sort of like, if you get to the point where you're saying, oh, but I'm paying them so it doesn't matter, it's a really bad attitude, and the coach will sort of put off like vibes of, come on, like, if you're serious about it, then you've really got to put in the work. But like, whatever was on the program, I would do for sure, like every single bit. Sometimes I even had 4 sets of accessories and like maybe 6 accessories, 2 to 3 compounds sometimes. Like, it was really 3-hour sessions, trying to recover as much as I can, but I don't think it's that efficient. Now, back then I was like, whoa, this is hard, but it sort of get to a point where I was so drained for my accessories that it was really just taxing me. And yeah, so the process from there, train really hard, get through different injuries. I had a lot more time to train, like 3 hours in the middle of the day. Who has that now at this sort of point in my life? I might have 2 hours in the middle of the day, but definitely not 3 or 4 even, because you got to get back, shower, train, get ready for clients. And yeah, I think that was the biggest one, getting a coach, even getting a nutrition coach. So there's a lot more to hold you accountable. Like, there's a reason that top end people, or more top end people, have athletes to keep accountable to, for someone to tell them what to do, and then all they have to do is go out and execute. Yeah.
So speaking of coaching, you've become a coach yourself.
Yeah.
You mentioned earlier that you worked at Grilled. So now you took on a job as a personal trainer.
Yep.
Like, did you see it as like a side hustle for like temporarily, or was this like, all right, this is what I want to do? Like, why PT?
Well, I remember laying in my bed, because the simple answer is like, do something that you do even if you didn't get paid for it. And that's something I was already doing with my friends. So I enjoyed the process of, or the good feeling that you get from doing something good and progressing and getting a little, even if it's small, a little bit further along with whatever you're doing. In the case of lifting, it feels really good because you're also getting like healthier, better body composition, and it's just a focus on something physical in your body rather than just like, I don't know, a lot of people will either focus on money, career, finances. Like, it's one of those things that I feel is a bit more for yourself. And when you do things for yourself that are sort of efficient and you know, and you feel really, really happy about, it's, yeah, you never really see it as a bad thing ever. Yeah. Like if I look back at, say, 300 deadlift or comps, different comps that I thought I went really well in, or even different lifts in the gym where I was like, whoa, that was really cool. Like, it always gives you a good feeling, like a really good feeling. You never really feel bad about it. Even if you're stronger now, you still look back and think like, whoa, like that. Even if it was 230, I remember doing a 230 squat, or the first time I did 140, that was like really good feeling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And with PT, was it always like, was that the first thing you thought of as like, oh, I want to do that, or did you have something else that you want to do?
My mum always used to say I should do PT, and I thought like, nah. But probably just because it was my mum, and I always used to say nah if she said it. But yeah, I never saw it as like, oh, this will be my side thing while I do something else. It was always, PT is what I want to do, and I'm doing grilled in the meantime. I like build up clients, and then eventually I got enough clients, and then I just said, all right, I'm going to drop grilled, and I did PT for my main source of income, and that's where I spent a lot of my time.
What's the biggest thing you've learned so far, like as a PT today? Like something you've learned, you know, just being in the industry or working with clients. What's the biggest thing you can take home with you?
This is probably the biggest one, especially now that I know I see a lot of social media and people that are sort of pushing their methods as like, this is the thing that you should do. I think that people will get results on many methods due to baseline principles, which we don't even need to think about. It's just like, all right, progressive overload. If you're progressively overloading in a way that works for the individual, then you're going to get a result for them. And I think that's more important than having the best or the newest or the whatever it is result, and also them enjoying it as well. So even if something's more efficient on paper, I think you've got to think, what's the best thing for the individual at their point in their life even. So even my training is a lot different now to what it was when I was doing 3-hour sessions, but I seem to be still getting not the same results. I definitely got more results back then, but I was just adding in a lot of volume, much better technique. But now I'm sort of at the point where technique's slowly but surely improving. I'm working out on injuries, and there's a lot less volume in there, but I'm still able to maintain the same lifts that I was doing when I was doing those 3-4 hour sessions at a time. So that's the biggest one for me. And there's always going to be a new method or a new study and a new better way of doing something, but which is important. But as a PT, you've got to do what's best for the individual at hand. So that's why it's important to have a whole range of different methods of progressing someone, working through them, seeing what's worked for majority of people. Maybe try that first. If this client doesn't like it or it's not working for them, then have another option ready to go, and not just push, this is what we need to do, this is what we need to do, because not everyone's going to agree with that.
Do you feel like that's something that PTs struggle with today? Like, because as we know, the PT industry is quite, the standard's quite low, and how do you think what have you done to sort of stay successful as a PT, would you say?
I'd say
with clients.
Okay.
And business.
And on a client level and a business level. So there's a lot of stuff that needs to break through the noise. So I'd say, like we always push, the processes and the reputation, or the sticking to, you're always going to get more results for a client if you're consistent with your approach versus going really well with a certain aspect of coaching and then dropping off on that. So I think, like I said before with my training when I was younger, the more consistent you can get someone to train, the better it's going to be. Like say there's a lot of clients, for example, when a comp's coming up, they're working really hard because they know they only have a certain amount of time before they need to perform the platform. This is in powerlifting. It works with any sport, I'd say. And they work really hard in the strength block. They're working hard. They're getting physio. They're doing their rehab, and they're making sure everything's on point. They're coming in motivated sessions. But in reality, like a lot of the building and the foundation work is the stuff that's going to get you the better result at the time. Like if you went through hard out on a conditioning block, and then you sort of like slacked off for the first half of your strength block and then pushed really hard in a peak, you probably, I don't know, some people might disagree, but you'll probably get more out of it than going really poorly in that conditioning phase and then just working hard on the whole strength block and the peak when things are exciting. Like obviously best case scenario is just work hard all the time and be smart all the time, but this is where you got to play it up with the client, like play it by ear. So in terms of successful in the approach of handling PT, I think processes which involve care for the client and consistency, which is regular, in our case, weekly, everything. Check-ins, updates, program changes, PT sessions, like that regularity I think is the thing that helps people stay as consistent as possible. If you treat everyone like they're special, then, well, they're going to like that, and they are special in their own way. And then if you can retain your clients, then you can build a member base. When you can build a member base, that's where the growth comes. Yeah.
There's definitely been a lot of growth. Well, since I've met you, like since like when I met you, you were still working at a PT studio, and then you've sort of branched out into your own business. Did you always see yourself as a businessman, like potentially? Like, did you see that potential in yourself?
Not so much businessman, definitely in terms of, say, working hard. I wanted to do, for sure. I definitely didn't work hard when I was at Grilled, but I think your mind changes over time, and especially in this age now, like I think you can redevelop your habits and your daily rituals to help you achieve whatever you set out to do, but you have to make an active approach, and I think bit by bit is always better than leaps and bounds.
Where did you see the spark of wanting to start business?
Only spark that I saw was I thought I would work for someone for sure and just work really hard at building a business up, which I wanted to do. But I said this to the PTs not long ago as well. The spark was when it was sort of like, there's more you can offer than just sort of like a personal training service or personal training session, that gets clients like moderate results. Like there should be a way, and there is a way, I think, that you can get extraordinary results for clients, and there is a process to it. As much as it's sort of got a human touch, and there are a lot of things that influence how good a coach is or how well a client responds to the coach, I think providing the most value in terms of progression as possible, because that feels really good. When you progress, everyone loves progression. And obviously hitting 1RM, the endorphins are up and feels cool, but it doesn't always need to be a 1RM. But I wanted to share that experience with everyone. I don't believe that happened at the first job that I worked at as a personal trainer. So that's where the spark came from. It's like, I feel so good about this. I don't know if my clients that I'm even training now, just sort of on a standardized program, are actually getting out of it. And the ones that I sort of took off that standardized program, they were feeling really good about it, and they're like, yeah, more, like I want more. It's very addictive in a good way.
Oh, cool. And like, very motivating. It's truly motivating to see progress in yourself. Even seeing progress in your clients, you can never feel like you're doing your job well if your clients are progressing. But what does your motivation come from? Like, ever since I've known you for the past 5-6 years, you've always had a book in your hand. Like, why? What? Like, were you always a bookworm?
No, I didn't used to like reading books, but I think if you get the right book to read, then you'll like it. Like, it's not just about books, I don't think. I think it's consumption of content. Whatever you consume, you'll sort of put out there in the world. So you just got to find something that you like, and then you can become really good at it. But if you don't like it, it's going to be quite hard to invest so much time into it. So I used to like, even when I was really young, like little kid, like remember how, is it called Remember the Titans or?
Yeah.
And he's like left side,
Yeah.
strong side.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like I always liked listening to that stuff, say before a lift or a training session, and I think that was just because I was influenced by my dad at the time, but the massive change occurred when I was a PT and I did start reading the book. So I still remember one of the managers, Sean, his name was, Buchanan, he recommended me to read How to Win Friends and Influence People, and that was my first personal development book I read. And from that point forward, I definitely just kept reading the personal development books, and as much as you don't pick it all up, there's still some things that stay in there, and it sort of, I think, changes the way you approach life or look into life. And it's not just about, oh, I'm going to do these books, and then if you don't actively implement what's in the book, then it's going to be quite hard to make changes. But I do believe that whatever you consume, you also put out as well. So what you reap, you'll sow, or what you sow, you'll reap.
You see what you
reap what you sow. Yeah.
So the Bible.
Is it? Yeah.
Yeah. So if you actually to encourage someone to read for the first time, would that book be what you read, or for them to read, or something else?
I think I was just in the right headspace, and I was in the right profession for that to happen, for that book to be interesting. And I was sort of like at a point where I was still doing PT, and I was still trying to get to sort of communicate with people better, and that really stood out to me as valuable. But maybe
a good book that you would like, just like, yeah, read this book if you want to read something. Like, I know a lot of people want them to business or finance, or just self-help.
I'd say Simon Sinek, Start With Why.
Yeah, that's a very good book.
Yeah. Even though it's slightly business oriented, or quite business oriented, yeah, that one's, for me, that's where I structured the core of most of everything I do now.
Yeah. That's actually one of the most popular TED Talks of someone.
Yeah.
It's on Simon Sinek ones. Back to business. Do you think you can be successful in business doing it alone?
No. Like, I assumed this question was coming in a different way, but no way. Like, it's like, say a company is like this fake thing. Like, it's not anything physical, it's just a piece of paper or writing that creates a company. Of course there's shares and whatnot involved, but in reality I see it as like a fake thing. The thing that builds the company is the people that are associated with it. So, like, even right now while we're sitting here doing this podcast, there's people over other gyms doing PT, and they're signing up people to do personal training and helping them achieve the same sort of feeling that we get when we progress and we get a big PB. So it's, yeah, like, I don't believe you can do it by yourself, and a big reason for that is, like, how do you even learn about business unless you read about it or educate yourself about it anyway? Like, as much, and yeah, I guess there's two ways to it. It's like, if I started as a kid and all I did was work at KFC and grilled, like, how am I going to know how to build a business? Even working at those places, like, you always need mentors. And I think, yeah, on a business level as well, like, the relationships that you have with others, as say workers, employees, or your managers, or whatever it is, I think that really helps evolve the business, because there's a lot of people that are working towards the end goal rather than just one. Like, say if there's one person who's really good, like 5 times better than anyone else, but then you had just 5 people who were just twice as good as anyone else. So they're still good people, like, they're twice as good, but they're definitely going to get a lot more done than one person who's 5 times as good as someone else. And there's only so much time in the week as well. So it's not like you can go and do it all, because it's impossible to do. But I think it's not just, well, in that case it'd be 10 times, right? I think it's not just that. I think it's amplified by more, because people that work in conjunction with each other get a whole lot more done than one person who works by themselves at a really efficient rate.
Yeah, so I think, I've learned that. So I learned that slowly. And I remember when you asked me to work work with you. I said no, I want to do
Yeah.
it on my own. But then I think once I started working with you, I started to really see the value of like working in a team and see like, oh, it's a lot more efficient working with a unit, as a unit, with a bunch of people. So, support. Did you get much support getting like starting business? Like in terms of like say friends, family. Is it important?
It's important. I don't think it's 100% necessary. Only reason I say that is because I didn't really get that much support. Like my parents were like, oh yeah, go and do it. But they're always sort of like err on the side of caution with say something I'm wanting to do. They're sort of like, oh, maybe don't do that, or maybe don't take on an employee, because I don't know, you don't have enough PT hours for yourself, so you need to do this first. But I think a big one that I not even realise now, even at the time I was saying it, it's like you haven't done it, you don't know. Like how do you know that's the right thing to do? And of course they're looking out for you, but in reality, yes, I had support from the employees. They always sort of backed what I sort of pushed out there, but yes, I did have support. It was never negative, it was sort of just like cautious. And I think just having that backing to be like, even if everything went wrong, I could still go and live at home. That was always good to know. So I sort of took a little bit more risk than maybe someone would if they had to just live by themselves and they're like, no, but I need to live, like I don't want to be on the street. I was never really in that position, so I guess my decision making was more to risk as opposed to like, oh no, I've got to build up clients first and hold on to them for 3 years before I even think about taking on an employee. Like it wasn't like that. I was sort of, I had my books, I did my thing, because I wasn't really, my parents or my parents' parents or no one actually in my whole family that I can even think of has their own business. So I'm sort of a little bit pushing against the grain there. They're employees, they might be higher end employees and they can make a good amount of money, get a house, whatever, and that's their thought pattern. But yeah, that part was initially hard, but then once you have the momentum, it's okay. Yeah, I think moving out of home helped that. One, I liked living by myself, but also two, I just made my own decisions rather than having to go against the grain, like, oh, but everyone's doing this, but I'm trying to do something different. It's like, yeah, let's say friction in terms of decision making.
What's one piece of advice you would give to someone who wants to start a business?
You learn a lot faster when you're doing it versus thinking about doing it. So, like, even if you're going to do it only, say, 60% good, don't do it. I said 60 for a reason. Like, if you're only going to do it 20% good, you should probably prepare a little bit more. But don't wait until you know it's 100%. It will never be 100%, by the way. But don't wait until something's going to be 100% certainty before going out and doing it. I probably give myself like a 60%. Like, oh yeah, it's probably going to work. So, do it. And then learn how not to do it when you make mistakes. That, yeah, I think sticks with me. So, don't just do it and be like, oh, someone online said like, just do it, fail, fail, fail. Because sometimes it's not the best way to do it. But have a good understanding of it. Once you're 60% sure, or once you're in the state of, oh, it'll probably work, then I'd say go out and do it. And obviously you can learn to mitigate or reduce your risk along the way. Yeah.
So, moral story, just do it.
Yeah. And yeah, you can start small and just do it, but probably don't try and say you've never done PT before in your life, and you're like, oh, I'm just going to open up a gym. Like, I just got to do it, and then I'll learn, because it's all like, nah, there's a few steps you need to follow before that. Yeah.
Alright, we only have a minute, but I'm going to ask you 3 random questions, then we'll call it there.
Yeah.
If you could eat one thing that would have 0 calories, what would it be?
0. And you still got full from it and stuff?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, so 0 calories. And it didn't bloat you or anything? Oh, so basically no consequence.
No consequence.
Oh, okay. Probably still like burgers.
Burgers.
Yeah. Yeah, burgers. Like, because they're high in fat. So you always got to watch them and you always got to plan them into the day. But if it was sort of like, no consequence, then alright, burger.
If not PT or business, what career would you consider pursuing?
Mechanic. I already know that, yeah. That was fast one.
Yeah.
I already know. I'm still interested in that, like, if I watch a YouTube video, everyone might think like, oh yeah, it's probably going to be about like fitness or business, which it is, but it's always like mechanics or how to build a rotary engine or whatever it is, like, yeah.
Yeah, I like that one.
Yeah.
And I like this question. If you wanted to have dinner with someone in this world, dead or
Elon
alive-
Musk.
Elon Musk.
Yeah.
I knew you were going to say Elon Musk. Why Elon Musk?
I don't know. I like how he doesn't really seem to care. Even though like chaos occurs, then... And also I like the fact that I liked him when not everyone liked him. I know everyone likes him now, but I've got old shirts from like his first companies. At least, or not old, but 5-6 years ago. And yeah, even before then, I found him interesting. When I think it was 11 years ago when I first saw his rocket being tested on a random YouTube video, and I was like, wow, I'm gonna watch all this stuff. This guy's cool. Now he's obviously cool to everyone, but before he wasn't really Iron Man. He's sort of just seen as some nerd. Yeah.
And where can people reach you?
You'll be able to reach me fastest through email.
Email.
Yeah.
What is it? What's your email?
Daniel@UHP-pt.com.au. Yeah.
Yes. Well, thank you for being a guest.
Thank you very much. That was fun.
Peace out. Thanks, guys.
See ya.